always. We call this foreshadowing. In other words, you kind of start to get a sense, boy, he's awfully fixated on this car. Maybe he'll do anything for this car. Whoa. Anything for this car? He does this? What kind of low-life scum would do that? Let's jump to 3A really quickly and comparisons to other titles. What is for you your favorite low-life scum in a movie? Can you go back in time to a movie or a TV show where you would say, you know what, this actor playing that part would play Shiflet really well? Another way to ask this, and it's always fun to ask this when you are studying short stories, is if you were to turn this short story, into a movie, who would you pick to play the role of Shiflet? Who is the actor who could pull this off best? He's got to have a little bit of humanity to him. He's got to have a little bit of the pathetic so that the audience doesn't see him as just outright a villain right away. He's got to have the ability to kind of show you he's a little bit at least conflicted about what he's doing, but in the end, he needs the automobile, and he's pretty much willing to do whatever it is that he has to do. Of course, you can ask about other grotesque characters in other texts that you're familiar with. What novels have you read? What stories have you read that have grotesque characters? For example, con men are a fundamental part of American and, of course, we could say other cultural fiction, but certainly American fiction. I just mentioned a few minutes ago Mark Twain's The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, and if you know that novel, Twain is genius at creating these kind of grotesque kinds of characters who are con men. They're kind of like, they're scavengers of a kind. Buzzards was the word that she used. They go into the world looking for people who they can use and manipulate. Finally, let's jump to 3B. How do you relate to a story like this? For example, do you think it is the case that in the world there are people who are users and there are people who are victims who used? Do you think that's true? Does the world naturally divide into two kinds of people? William Blake will talk about it when he, in your senior year, when you study with me, his Songs of Innocence, Songs of Experience, he'll talk about two kinds of people. You're either a lamb or you're a tiger. Which one are you? And in a world of lambs and tigers, we know the outcome usually. Lambs get jacked. Tigers are survivors. Is Shiflet a tiger? Is he a shark? Is he a buzzard? Do you have any sense of pity for him? Watch this question. This is a fascinating one at 3B. In our story, we begin by saying, characterization, you got three of them, right, in this story. Who is the villain in this story? Who is the monster? Who is the worst of all people? Is it Shiflet or is it her mother? Her mother who knows, she has to know, this cat, he is not legit. She has to know that. And yet, she turns over her daughter to this guy. Or do you have some pity for all of the characters in the story? You have some sense of pathos. It's tragic. The whole story is tragic, which of course makes the irony of the title even worse. The life you save may be your own. Drive carefully. You have a responsibility for other people. In other words, the reason why you drive carefully is not just for yourself, but for other people. But oh yeah, if you drive carefully, you will save your own life. In the end, is that the irony of the title? Shiflet will do what he has to do to save his own life. Do you think that's true? Often we will study a text called The Man in the Water, a story about a man who, in a moment of crisis, decides instead of saving himself, to save 5 people from drowning, and then he himself drowns. The story written by a famous New York Times writer is to say, this is the benchmark. This is kind of what we all aspire to. We all aspire to being good guys, to being the ones who are taking care of other people. Do you think that's true, though? In your life, do you think that's true? Have you found that to be the case? Well, there you go, an introduction to Flannery O'Connor's classic, The Life You Save May Be Your Own. I hope it at least made you think a little bit. Thank you.